On to details now. New Delhi hosts the 5th edition of India-US 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue today. The foreign and defense ministers of both countries took part in the meeting. US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in New Delhi to attend the dialogue. During the dialogue, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said India-US bilateral relationship has seen a growing convergence of strategic interest and enhanced defence, security and intelligence cooperation.
The India-US bilateral relationship has seen a growing convergence of strategic interests and enhanced defence, security and intelligence cooperation. Defence remains one of the most important pillars of our bilateral relationship. Your visit to India is at a time when India and US are closer than ever before. In spite of various emerging geopolitical challenges, we need to keep our focus on the important and long-term issues.
Also, US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said our increasingly strong ties give us all hope for the future of this partnership and for our common efforts towards a more secure world.
The strength of our partnership is rooted in the people-to-people ties that are the heart of our long-standing friendship. Together, our diplomats, entrepreneurs, and students are expanding our partnership in new domains, including clean energy, artificial intelligence, and semiconductors. Our increasingly strong ties give us all hope for the future of this partnership and for our common efforts toward a more secure world.
Well, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jessica said we will undertake a comprehensive overview of cross-cutting strategic defence and security ties, technology and supply chain collaborations and people-to-people exchanges.
In the 2+2, we will undertake, as we have done before, a comprehensive overview of cross-cutting strategic defense and security ties, technology and supply chain collaborations, and people-to-people exchanges. Our trade is today in excess of $200 billion. FDI is rising in both directions. 270,000 Indian students study in the United States, and we have a diaspora of 4.4 million. A key focus of our discussions today will be the Indo-Pacific region.
And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said both India and US is harnessing the power of innovation to make their economies more resilient.
We're harnessing together the power of innovation to make our economies more resilient and to make our communities more secure while expanding inclusive economic opportunity. That's evident in the cooperation on semiconductors and advanced biotechnology, on our unprecedented investments in deploying clean energy at scale in our countries as well as across the region, and our joint research and exploration projects in space.
He added, when both the countries study, work and collaborate together, the possibilities of progress are infinite.
We're deepening the remarkable ties between our people, which is really at the heart of everything. Exploring new educational exchanges, even building on what you've already described. Steps to facilitate travel between our countries, reducing visa wait times. If there's one thing we've learned over the recent decades, it's that when Indians and Americans study together, work together, collaborate together, the possibilities for progress are infinite.
Earlier, US State Secretary Blinken met India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jessica. The two leaders shook hands and greeted each other before heading for the 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue. The leaders held an open and productive conversation on further developing strategic partnership. And they also spoke about West Asia, Indo-Pacific and other regional issues. Blinken described the India-US partnership between the two countries as the strongest ever.
It's always wonderful to be in India. We're building on a rather remarkable year of engagement, and I think it's just evidence of the fact that we have not only the strongest bilateral partnership we've ever had, but also a regional one and indeed a global one. And that was further evidenced by India's leadership of the G20 this year. And as Jai said, we have a lot to do, including with our defense colleagues, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think it's further evidence of our resolute focus from the United States on the Indo-Pacific. Our region for the future, and the future is actually now, and we're building it now, and we're building it together with India.
And for more on this, we have with us our correspondent, Jessica Taneja. Well, Jessica, Blinken has said that the possibilities of progress are infinite. Also, the Indo-Pacific has emerged as a pillar of India and U.S. defense and security cooperation, as we all know. They're also members of the Quad. What are the key drivers of the Indo-U.S. partnership in the Indo-Pacific, as Jessica also mentioned about the key focus on the area?
Well, certainly Indo-Pacific has driven another strategy altogether by US, and we've seen the heightened activity there and collaborations and various defense deals that have been signed, keeping in mind the possibility of heightened activity by, in fact, also to an extent to limit the extent of China in the region, but the cooperation goes beyond just China. So of course the Indo-Pacific includes a lot of initiatives that we've seen in the recent past when it comes to maritime security as well. Both the regions have spoken at length, and of course information exchange, technology, and also a lot of other initiatives that we're going to continue to see with the inception of this 2+2 dialogue back in 2016. We had in fact agreed on the COMCASA, which would enable crucial information exchange between the two countries, especially related to defense. So of course we know that Indo-Pacific as a strategy is one of the main drivers for this relationship, but there's a lot more than just containing China in the region.
Right, Jessica. Also, Blinken has also mentioned about enhancing maritime domain awareness. Can you tell us more about that?
That's right, and we will know more about what kind of initiatives and what further cooperation is required in that regard after the statement is put out in about an hour or so is what we're expecting. What we do know is that the heightened activity in the Indo-Pacific indicates that more deeper cooperation between the two nations is likely to take place. We've seen the signing of the ICET, the Indo-Pacific Economic Forum as well before that. So of course a lot of different pacts which initiate and promote the kind of people-to-people ties as well. And when it comes to maritime security, we've seen information exchange, and within the COMCASA there will be a lot more dialogue and a lot more collaboration in the future.
Right, Jessica, as you mentioned, people-to-people ties is very important. Jessica also highlighted the rise in trade between the two nations. Lakhs of Indian students study in the US. How has this come up in the talks?
Well, bilateral trade is something interesting to watch for when it comes to America, because if you see the current trade between the two nations is somewhere around $128 billion. And if you go by the recent surveys, it is suggested that the trade between the two nations could reach $300 billion by 2026 and 27. And that would be a huge jump from where we are at the moment. In fact, the defense trade between the two nations was nearly zero 2 decades ago, with in fact India being sanctioned by America in 1998, and from that we've come to now $20 billion of defense trade between the two nations. And of course India becoming a major defense partner. The focus also for this 2+2 dialogue is security cooperation. So all the defense initiatives that have been undertaken, the progress for that will be reviewed. So a lot more can be expected, while we'll also talk about bilateral trade and what more can be put into focus when it comes to security.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for that update. We'll keep coming back to you for more. And moving on to updates from the ongoing